r/AskReddit. How do you feel about a 4-day work week? I would probably hate Mondays less. Used to do a 12-hour day 3 days a week. It was glorious. In terms of climate change, it'd be about 20% less CO2 emissions from commuters, which is nice. I not only think it would be great, I think we should go further and eliminate required work hours for certain jobs altogether. Most office jobs can easily be done from home with a phone and a working internet connection. There's no reason to force people to commute and sit on a cubicle for hours and hours every week just so bosses can make sure they're working. That's 1919 thinking. Not 2019 thinking. When you hire me, you should pay me X amount of dollars for Y amount of work. Whether it takes me 12 hours a week or 54 hours a week to get it done, my salary X never changes. And any free time is my own. Also, how do you feel about OP asking questions that they know for a fact that virtually all Reddit agrees on but asks anyway for karma and attention? 0 days will be better, but this is also an improvement. I work healthcare. Specifically public health. People stay 6-7 days a week. Reddit. How do you feel popular Reddit belief? Wait, all of you love it, what a surprise. As long as it is for 8 hours days with no change in pay, I can get the same amount of work done in 32 hours as I get done in 40. To all the people who think that you'll have to work less. No, you won't. In order for this format to stay on, if implemented, I'm pretty sure your productivity will have to rise and you'll have to cover 5 days of work in 4 days. However, science is on our side. I'd also love this, as studies have shown that people exposed to these conditions take less breaks, browse Facebook less, and are generally more efficient. My company switched to 4 10-hour days. We are diesel technicians and work 7-5-30. Half of us work Monday through Thursday and the other half work Tuesday through Friday. We have did this for over 2 years and we all love it. It is so nice to have a 3-day weekend every week. Another thing about it that is nice is if you doctor's appointment or something, I can make it on a Monday and don't have to miss any work. I would gladly work 4 10-hour days to have an extra day off. 2-day weekends are too short. They're gone just as soon as you start to feel comfortable. I think it's less about 4-day work weeks, but more about work-life balance. For people that's already working more than 10 hours a day or no pay overtimes or working during holidays, working 4 days a week means very little. It wouldn't work for me. I work at an animal hospital, open 7 days a week, and there's not enough of us to go around. And the company would never hire enough people to cover for a 4-day work week. I work hourly. I need 30-40 hours a week and 10 hours days is doable, but also sounds like hell. 4 10-hour days is already my ideal schedule. If I could do 4 8-hour days, with no loss of income, I personally would be more motivated to complete projects and waste less time. I enjoy my 4-day work week. 10 hours a day is a little tiring, but I have no reason to complain. I do the same amount of work, and I get an extra day off. It's worth it. I work with people with special needs and developmental disabilities. 4-day work weeks wouldn't work in my field. My BF works 4 10s and it's a total game changer. It's adjusted his schedule so he wakes up at earlier hours on his days off, which gives him more day in his day, on top of already having an extra one. I'm self-employed and I try to have all my work done by Fridays, so we usually get 3-day weekends together, which also makes taking short trips easier without missing any work. It also opens up a weekday for him to do certain things that have more limited hours on weekends, like appointments and whatnot. I don't understand why it's not the norm. I, personally, would love it. I feel like, overall, you'll get more free time. Since on days with work, you have to go to bed early to wake up early, but on weekends you can do whatever. There are a lot of pitfalls to this. You have to come up with a rotation. You can't expect the world to shut down on Friday, so now you need a weekend crew. Do they only work 3 days? Or are you overstaffed on one day? The clinic gets a lot more busy because all the people they saw in 5 days are now pushed into 4 days. Also, there are a lot of businesses that rely on people working. The food truck guy. If he can't sell food on the 5th day, he now has a pay cut. The daycare lady. Does she continue to charge the same even though your kids are only there for 4 days? Your 15 days of vacation goes from 3 weeks to almost 4. Good for you. Bad for the people that cover for you. I'm not saying that some of these can't be overcome, but just accepting it because a 3-day weekend is awesome won't work either. Provided there's no drop in salary. Fucking brilliant. Fuck. I'd take a 5-day week. All for it. I wouldn't mind it. Would it be a 4-day school week for children? If so, then I would imagine that adults would love it more as they could spend more time with their kids. I absolutely support it. There's so much evidence that backs the benefits up. But agree with the comments about lower paid workers just working more at other jobs. This system is good in theory for salaried workers, but not so much for hourlies, unless their wages were adjusted accordingly. I also think it would affect newer members entering the workforce. It's illegal to roll someone's pay back for doing the same job they've always done, in my country at least. Some conditions may apply. But what's to stop companies from hiring new entry levels at a percentage less? There would have to be regulation and laws against it. Cost of living doesn't go down just because your hours do. Reddit has already shown us that there will be a few people who will go in on an optional 5th day for some extra cash, and then working 5x 10 hours a week will slowly become the norm. I commute an hour plus each way, so a 4-day work week would mean 1 less commuting day, which would be awesome. We work 6 days a week. I would be freaking happy to get 2 days weekend. I don't even know how I feel about 4-day work week. It's too far-fetched for me. But I dream. Someday. Maybe someday. I currently work 4 10-12 hour shifts. And I love it. Basically, I now have 1 day to do all of the chores running around. And then I can relax for the other 2. I worked 4 10s and had Friday through Sunday off during the last recession. It was glorious to still be working and have 3-day weekends. Missed the silly OT though. Like 25% to 40% of my checks at times. I survived because my wife got an office job right when that hit, and it was perfect timing. My youngest son went into 1st grade. Life would be that much better. I would have somewhere around 50 extra days a year to do all the yard work and home projects that I don't want to spend all weekend doing. I currently work 4x10s. Monday, Friday. I couldn't go back now. I won't go back now. You'll never take me alive. I'm a teacher. That extra day at the end of the week would be amazing for prep, grading, meetings, and so on. As long as the pay still matches what I make now and I do have to work longer hours, I'd be thrilled. Love it. No brainer. I work 4 10s and I love it. 3-day weekends really feel like I get away from work. I work 5 days. 10 hours shifts. They would just make it 4 days with 13-hour shifts. We would have to totally restructure the corporate stranglehold people have over citizens. In America at least. Don't like your hours or job? Can't just get a new one if you rely on your job for healthcare. Better hope you don't get in a car accident, get cancer, break a bone, etc. while changing jobs. Fucking insanity. Americans are wage benefit slaves and no one fucking cares. I do 4 on 3 off, 3 on 4 off. Best job I've had. I have a 4-day work week. I work Sunday to Wednesday. It is amazing. I actually feel rested by Sunday. I did 4 10s for a while. I was so exhausted at the end of the 4th day I basically spent my 5th day recovering. I'm an IT street, a small company now. I don't see them going to 32 hours weeks for us. Not as good as I would feel about a 3-day work week. Think it makes sense. All the evidence suggests it works. And the welfare benefits would be enormous. How do you feel asking such a dumb, simplistic question on this subreddit? Obviously everyone is going to reply it's great. I'm currently unemployed. because I'm a kid. But I'd rather do 8 hours, 5 days a week than 10 hours 4 days a week. As tantalizing as an extra day off would sound, I'd prefer the extra 2 hours of free time I'd get on weekdays in order to recharge for the next day. I'm much more productive on stuff when I'm well rested and not burned out. Want it? Unpopular opinion. Will be great for a lot of professions. Wouldn't be good for my profession. I work 4/10s on a rotating schedule. Once every 4 weeks my schedule goes mth then WSR and I get a 5-day weekend. It's amazing and so nice for planning short trips out of town. Or if I just take 2 days of PTO I get a whole week off. I did it for a few years and I loved it. If you can work 8 hours, 10 is nothing. Bored. Honestly, my work is my passion. I was working 4 10-hour days, then got switched to weekend shift, which is 3 12-hour days but get paid for 40 hours and 4 days off. Couldn't be happier. My wife and I did 4x10 for several months while living in the Northwest USA. It was fucking awesome. We got a lot more work done at work, and then had 3-day weekends to explore this new region we had recently moved to. If school was also a 4-day week, I can only imagine how it would impact families. They could actually have big adventures all the time. Further, if not everyone works the same days and has the same days off, it makes destinations like the zoo, theme parks, natural attractions so much more enjoyable because you split up the visitor group over more days. If some people work mth and some people work TF, the M and F visitors to those locations would be great. Heck, why is there even a weekend anymore? I'd work FM and have teeth off and there'd be no one at those destinations. No lines at the roller coasters. No one blocking my pictures of the amazing waterfalls. No masses of people standing around watching a giraffe poop on a wall. I'm very pro 4-day work week. Even if it's 4x10. 8 AM to 12 PM. Break for an hour lunch. 1 PM to 7 PM. Head out for dinner. I did 3 12-hour shifts a week and it was my favorite. I had 4 days off a week that I could fill with other shifts, but it didn't make my work week excruciatingly long. They talked about this in the 70s. Yeah, everyone said. My dad did it. He worked for 12 plus HR days and took off Friday. Everyone else was like, if I work the 12 hours the 4 days plus another 12, I can make even more money. Yay. It would never work for my industry, construction, and other similar industries that involve trades without hurting companies' bottom lines. Most tradesmen don't BS for a few hours a day like office workers do. I used to work in the field and work in the office now, so I've seen both sides. You just physically can't do as much work in 32 hours as you can in 40 plus. And imagine how unfair it would be if all white collar jobs went to 4-day weeks and blue collar stayed at 5. That would never fly. 4-day work week equals less productivity overall. Period. Mixed bag, sure. Working less is great. But we still have to do the same amount of stuff and we are already always very close to being behind. Of course it would create more job openings and when they are filled we'll not run behind, except that we are running behind because we cannot find qualified people to do the job anyways, and don't even get me started on unqualified workers because that marker is entirely dry ever since Amazon built a warehouse close to us. So I'd say nice idea to create more job openings or when moving to a more automated system. Depends on the variables involved. In most of my jobs a 4 or 5 day 30 hours work week is enough time to get things done outside of probably 6 different weeks a year which would require more time. But because of old norms we were stuck in 5-day 40 hours weeks where in reality we were wasting multiple hours a day. Of course not all jobs have that luxury but quite a few can be consolidated to that level. Personally I work better knowing if I go all out for 4 hours straight then I'm done. I'd work a 3-day week at 14 hours a day. Only worth it if you can get it in writing that you work no more than 10 hours. My last job was supposed to be like that but they always ran for 12 hours each day. Long overdue. No point in being in the office 40 HRS plus per week. What management never understands is that they are only getting 4 hours. Maybe 6 hours of actual work. Whether they want us there for 8 or 10 hours. They are still only getting minimal production. Personally, I'd rather work for 4 hours days and get paid for 40 hours. This would definitely make me altogether happier and less stressed. Plus I would have more time to spend with my fiancé on our days off. Also, I think more time to refresh before coming back to work will make employees more productive at work. I see this as an absolute win. Hello. 4-day work week Ava here. It's wonderful and does have the benefits they say it does. My schedule is Monday 6 a 12 p. Tuesday Thursday 6 a 6 p. While I don't get anything but basic self-care done Tuesday Thursday, I have 3.5 days to unwind. Go to appointments, run errands, and do chores. It's magical. I also have a chronic pain condition, so I can't take a whole 2 days to rest if I need it, and still have a day off, and the second half of Monday to get stuff done. 10/10. I can't emphasize enough how much I'd love to work 4x 10 hours instead of 5x 8. My employer gives us every other Friday off. We work 80 hours over 9 days, MF. It's really helpful to have those Fridays to schedule appointments. And I have less desire to burn PTO throughout the year just to take a much needed Friday off. Through the end of October, I had only used 2.5 PTO hours for the year. Mostly for doctor's visits. The only real downside is that on the Fridays that we do work, nobody wants to do anything. Given that we now have more people in the workforce and supposedly more productivity because of automation, we ought to be dropping down to 32 hours weeks to compensate for the changes in our household structures. I work 4 10s a week instead of the usual 8/5s and I fucking love it. 2 extra hours each shift is easily worth the 3-day weekend. Feel like I actually get a break from work each week. Thanks for watching, mate. Make sure to smash that star button for more high quality content.